So with the recent 2026 budget presentations made by the opposition leader, Mr. Mark Golan, and the Prime Minister, Dr. Andrew Holness, we asked Deputy Dean and Senior Lecturer in the Department of Economics at UWI Mona, Dr. Christine Clarke, to join us for a review of their projections. Good morning, Doc. How are you?
Morning. I'm well, thanks. How are you both?
Can't
Very
complain.
well, thank you.
Thanks. I'm going to give you some headlines, and you can kind of tell me what's going on with them for some of us who don't understand. So we start with the Prime Minister, who said a strong economic resilience after Hurricane Melissa, and he made some points on that. Your thoughts on that one?
Well, as we would have heard from the Bank of Jamaica, that there has been a performance that exceeded what was expected. So in terms of the numbers and the declines that were originally forecast just after the hurricane, they're seeing where there's not as much inflation as expected. The unemployment rate, yes, has taken a hit, but not as much. And so that is what I think the Prime Minister has based his statement in terms of the resilience of the Jamaican economy post-Hurricane Melissa.
So is it been a strong one? You agree with that?
It is not as bad as we thought it was going to be, as we would have forecasted it. So not that it is, on the positive side and the large numbers in terms of growth that we want, but it is not as bad. The decline has not been as bad and the impact has not been as significant as we thought it would have been.
Doc, may I ask you just to kind of frame, before we do an even deeper dive into the points made by both gentlemen, kind of what you heard coming from both and how you frame that in your mind as opposed to how both of them did, just high level.
So I think both of them made substantive contributions to the national discussion. I think fundamentally what is affecting us, as with any other economy, is that we have scarce resources. So the leader of the opposition has pointed to the fact that, really not everybody that has been impacted will be able to get something from this budget to either rebuild the house or to fix their roof or whatever the other allocations that the government has made. The challenge, he has also identified, I think himself and his opposition spokesperson on finance, is that implementation is another problem. I think the Prime Minister has also identified that as a major problem for Jamaica. So scarce resources means that we want to help everybody, but we will not necessarily be able to, and certainly not necessarily in one fiscal year. We have to remember, this budget is for this fiscal year.
Yeah.
And so there is likely to be programming for the next fiscal year. I mean, good public finance policy really wants persons who can help themselves through a variety of means to do so that our tax revenue, the taxes that are collected from Neville and Simone and all of TVJ staff and everybody else, help persons who really have no other option as best as is possible.
So we did.
And so this is where I think the tension is between, both presentations. Yes, we want to help everybody, but the reality is this is just about one fiscal year. And so we expect that recovery, as the Prime Minister has outlined, new towns, new roads, new access points, more houses or housing solutions, housing starts to be available. So this is going to take time. It's going to be over the period of multiple fiscal years.
Yeah. The narrative, and you can tell me if you think this is accurate, coming from the opposition, is that the government record, yes, strong on fiscal discipline, but weak on growth, execution, and inclusion. Yes, Jamaica has achieved stability, but it remains stuck in low growth, high cost, and weak delivery. Sounds fair to you as a kind of nutshell of what he's saying?
I mean, it is a fair criticism. I think, though, that we are, the question really is how much can the government do, as I said, in one fiscal year? Yes, I know that there are most to do multi-year planning, and especially in the context of these projects, you want to have an idea of what's coming down the pipe. In year 3 and year 4, if all of these projects are peaking, you can imagine what the budget is going to look like. And again, that will meet up against our implementation capacity, as I said. But what I think is important is that we have to hold on to our stability. That is necessary. We all agree it's not sufficient. And we knew this, even going back to our 2010 agreement with the IMF. We knew that growth really is not going to come from stability, but it's the foundation on which growth is built. And so what we really need to have is a system or a scenario where the private sector, the innovators you just spoke to, two guests who were, doing their own thing in their area, for everybody within their area to work as best as is possible to generate the economic activity, the value-added economic activity, I should say, that could help to drive growth on the aggregate. We understand the West and the rebuilding efforts, and this is why I think shortly after the impact of Melissa, the call was made for the rest of the island to do even more than we would have been doing to adjust or accommodate that negative impact that we anticipated from Melissa.
Because of that, Dr. Clarke, and we're a people who want everything fixed immediately, and we want it whether it's hurricane or not. Is it a little unfair for the naysayers to jump in and say, no, this should be happening now and that should be happening now, because of what we went through just 4 or 5 months ago?
No, I don't know if I would say unfair. It's expected. I mean, no one wants to see their home country devastated. I mean, you're showing the images now. No one wants to see that over a prolonged period of time. There is possibly some amount of slack in terms of, just by virtue of operations. Operations management always has some slack capacity there. And so if person see, probably a backhoe in their community idle, they say, well, why the government doesn't pay this person? Yeah. And we go back again to get the thing done. We go back again to the procurement challenges and the requirements thereof. And, the person with the backhoe may not have the necessary, administrative paperwork to facilitate something like that. So it is expected, and it's good that Jamaicans and even those in the diaspora are pushing to say, what is the government doing? Why aren't they moving faster? And I think that holds the government's feet to the fire. And this is something that we really need. We want persons to hold the government accountable, hold their feet to the fire. But at the same time, we have to balance that with the reality of how much can we do, how fast can we do it? And as the Prime Minister says, do we want to build back exactly where we were? Or are we going to think ahead to the next 10, 20 Melissas? We're staring another hurricane season right down in the face right now. I mean, we are also been experiencing several cold fronts, the rains, the winds. I mean, some persons reported that the winds during the first cold front were worse than what they experienced during Melissa. We saw signage go down. So we really have to think nationally as we build, as we return to normalcy or return to a new normal. How are we going to do it? We have to think, we have to plan, and we have to look at where we can get the best bang for the buck as far as our resilience and our sustainability goes going forward.
Is there anything you would have wanted to hear from the PM that you did not? Or the opposition leader, for that matter?
Well, the criticism right across the budget is that there's not enough technical details. Persons want to hear timelines, etc. And so we're all hoping that we'll really have a robust sectoral debate coming up where each minister that is now responsible for whether it's, portfolio or a full minister will present those kinds of information in their presentation.
The whole of it.
So that we can then match the policy, the strategic goal, the new Black River, the new roads, all of those things, the water supply, the electric, all of the plans, the promises, the ideas. We can now match that with some timelines, some maybe if possible, milestone achievements, if not down to the level of KPIs, so that we can have an understanding of where we're going. And, it may be possible that many of us won't be around for the final, the final unveiling. But what I think we are happy with is the long-term vision, over the long term. Where are we heading? It's not a this year knee-jerk reaction to what has happened, but thinking, how can we turn this crisis into the opportunity that we need?
All right. Thank you very much, Doc. Appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for having me.
The whole of it, I guess, in the sectoral debate is what we look forward to, because Lord knows if the PM had spent any more time on that, the debate would have been, 8 hours instead?
Another 2 hours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clarke.
Thank you.
Deputy
All the
Dean
best.
And Senior Lecturer in the Department of Economics, UWI Mona, Dr. Christine Clarke.
When we come back, we talks of our local economy turns to talk of global partnership with the European Union. Stay with us, please. Soon come.